Hello guys, today you're joining us at Open Eyes. I'm your host Orkojeet Banerji, and today our first guest Mr. Jack Heanly. And today we will be talking about the Trump transgender ban. So, first of all, very open-ended question, what do you think about transgenders?
I have absolutely no opinion about transgender people. They're just regular humans.
Regular humans. That's a very nice way to look about it, because a lot of transgender people face a lot of discrimination because of the choice that they make. And do you think it is fair to discriminate someone just because they choose to be of a different gender than they were born?
No, it's just like any other choice we would make, what car we drive, what clothes we wear. I think it's seriously no difference. I don't think that the discrimination they face is valid or reasonable or justified.
Alright, now, you know about 36 genders thing, right?
Pardon?
36 genders? No. Alright, so essentially, like now what a lot of people are saying is that there isn't 2 or 3 genders, like the male, female and trans, but the fact that there are these 36 genders, male, female, trans, gender fluid, animal kin, pixie kin, leprechaun kin, and then I'm like, man.
Yeah.
Right? So what do you think on that?
Well, I think choosing to be, or making the choice to change your gender is of little consequence, but
yeah, but choosing if you want to be a furry, if you want to become an animal, and you think you were born human, but you feel like you're an animal, do you think we should not tell people that they're crazy if they think that?
I think trying to become like a leprechaun seems a bit strange, and I could understand why there would be a lot of funny opinions on that.
Like, look, like I understand if like a person says that, oh, I want to wear clothes like a girl, because like the clothes that we wear, it's a social construct, right? So it doesn't really matter what you wear. But as soon as you say that I'm a different species, then it's a problem. Then it's a problem to me. Now let's narrow it down to if a man chooses to be a woman or if a woman chooses to be a man, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now, so what do you think would be its implications in fields which are definitely gendered, like sports, right? So if someone says that I'm a man, but I identify as a woman, do they go in the men's league or do they go in the women's league?
That's a tough question.
That's a tough one, right?
Because, okay, let's be honest. Genetics, men are built so that they are likely to run faster. They're likely to be taller. They're likely to have higher muscle mass, right?
Yeah.
And so if you have a man who identifies as a woman, but his genetics are the same as a man, it's not particularly fair for him to be participating in the female competition.
Right.
But then it's also not fair on the competition not letting him be who he wants to, or she wants to be.
Right.
If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get it. Like it's fair to not let them participate, but it's also discriminatory in a certain way, right? But unless I feel they go through biological change, like they actually change themselves, they take like steroids or estrogen or something to change their gender, not only at a appearance level but at a chemical and a physical level, then even though I don't know what the research out there is on this issue, but I would say then it's fair. But if someone just says, oh, I'm putting on a skirt and I have to identify as women, I don't think they should be allowed to play in the women's league.
Yeah, no, 100%
right.
with that statement.
Yeah.
But obviously if there are the proper procedures and the chemical and hormonal and whatever changes there are, then that circumstance has more merit in potentially them participating in gender-based sports.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there's nothing to prevent them from playing mixed sports. Like, there's nothing to say that if you want to play a sport, you have to play it in an all-males team or an all-females team. Yeah,
but let's say in a badminton, there are mixed doubles in a badminton game, right? Potentially.
Mm-hmm.
So so what might happen there is that a man chooses to play in a sport, so it's a man-woman team, and a man who identifies as a woman might choose to play. So it's 2 men versus one biological woman and 1 biological man. Do you get my point? All right. Now, coming to the Trump transgender ban. Now, Trump has gone on to state that he is for the LGBT community and all that stuff. And do you think this is him going against his promise to the world that he is for LGBT and he will work for LGBT rights?
Yes, I do think that. I think, honestly, Trump's a bit all over the place. Like, he says one thing and then goes and does another. Or whatever he likes.
Absolutely.
So he says, oh, I'm going to support LGBT rights. And then he accuses Hillary Clinton of trying to take away their rights.
Yeah.
When, conversely, that's exactly what he's done. He's just prevented any transgender people from being in the military.
Yeah, but now obviously almost all of the left is against the decision. But what a lot of the argument provided by the rightist Americans is that if you're transgender and you're biologically transgender, when you're out in the field, it costs apparently a lot of money to provide them with those medicines to these transgender people who are going through a chemical and physical change with their bodies, right? And to some extent, I can understand that, but then again, the left also counters with the points that you spend a lot more on, say, Viagra in the military, but apparently that helps as a key crucial medicine in some cases. So what do you think on those lines?
Well,
from an economic standpoint.
From an economic standpoint, yes, it may cost money for the military to provide these transgender people with the hormones or the medicines they need. But there's nothing to prevent them from working in an office where it's not the responsibility of the military to deliver them while they're in the field.
Right.
And so from that standpoint, I don't understand the ban, but from the out in the field kind of perspective, the economic side of it does seem to make more sense. However, the fact that the military also spends money on other types of medication is a little bit contradictory.
Right, okay. Also, it is a widely researched and accepted phenomenon that within people who identify as trans, the crime rates that they have against sexual assault and all those cases, like sexual assault, rape, molestation, they are significantly higher, disproportionately so, within the transgender people. Now, it is not necessary to say anyone who is trans is more likely to commit crimes, but it is of the simple fact that, let's say you're in a bar, right, and some drunk girl goes back into the bathroom. You put on a lipstick, wear a skirt, and you say, oh, today I'm identifying as a woman, and I'll go to the female toilet. And then you go to the female toilet and rape her. So, see, there's a huge, this situation, and this might happen in the military as well, right? So, say a transgender woman identifies as a woman, goes to the military, and says that, oh, you have to take me into the women's division because I identify as female. And they go to the female, and it is seen that they rape a lot of women in that field. So, do you think if the right is providing this argument, do you think that it is a valid argument to make?
Honestly, I don't believe so. So when I hear the word, or I hear I'm identifying as a female, I really despise if someone uses that simply to benefit themselves rather than that being actually the way that they feel and want to identify. So if someone says, oh, I'm going to put on lipstick and a skirt, identify as a woman, and go rape someone, that's not trans for me. And so I think on that premise, then the ban doesn't correlate with that.
Right.
However, if that is what some people are doing, then I can understand the concerns, although I honestly can't contemplate why anyone would choose to do such a horrible thing.
No, obviously there are really messed up people in this world. You have murderers, you have rapists, you have people who molest children and stuff. And having said that, it is not saying that the whole transgender community is a bunch of raping criminals. It's saying that a certain section of people that were not trans identify as trans just so that they can do this, they can exploit the system and be able to harm innocent lives. And if that is the case, then do you think a ban, a straight out ban, was a proper solution, or do you think that other solution could have been enlisted to stop this from happening?
Oh, most definitely. I think there's other solutions, but what, in my opinion, this like the raping of women if they identify as a woman and they go in, but they're actually a man. They identify as a man,
Yeah.
and then they take advantage of the situation. While as bad as it may be, and the situation's horrible, sometimes it's an awkward situation to ask someone who identifies as trans, oh, are you really trans? Is that actually what you're doing? And that's where the complications might be.
Yeah.
Because there could be this, I guess, stereotype of, oh, well, we shouldn't question their decision.
Mm.
But then, if they do that, then unfortunately those victims, there's not a whole lot we can do about it. And so that's potentially why the ban was implemented.
Right.
But I'm sure that there would be another way that we could stamp out these, I guess, masquerade.
Yeah. I think so too. Like, a straight out ban on most things has never worked in history, right? Prohibition didn't work. Most of the bans, even if weed is illegal, all of us know that everyone does it, right? It's just the fact. It's just the fact that anyone who because obviously there's a huge drug market in America, even though it's illegal. And if Trump had just taken a page out of that book, then he would have realized that banning the whole community outright was not the right decision to make.
And like, it's very hypocritical of Trump, because if Trump sees one circumstance where an LGBT person has done something wrong, he'll bring down the law on them with force. But if there's a white, educated businessman who commits a crime, such as rape or molest or something along those lines, he's not going to bring down a law saying all white businessmen are forced to quit their jobs.
Right.
So it seems quite hypocritical that he'll let the minority ruin it for the majority in one group, but not another.
Yeah, that's a really fair point. And also, are you aware of gender pronouns? No, all right. So, of course, there's the him and the her for gender pronouns.
Yeah.
But the trans community also is coming up with these new made-up pronouns, instead of referring to him or her, a trans person, they prefer if you refer to them as they. They. And then there's also a her. It's spelled H-E-R-E, but it's pronounced as here. It's spelled H-E-R-E, but it's pronounced as her. Her with an I. So, and now, like, I can get that if someone doesn't want to identify as him or her and chooses to identify as a different gender. But just from a very logical standpoint, if you're referring to one singular person as there, don't you think it would just get a bit confusing for a certain amount of people to identify, to figure out who are they actually referring to?
Correct, yeah. So obviously there and there.
Yeah.
The similarities are just like, there's nothing else you can say. If I say there, referring to a transgender person, or there, as in referring to, I guess, even that place, or that group of people's object, it's bound to have complications and confusion.
Right, of course. And also Canada is trying to bring this into legislation. Like, if you misgender someone, like say, if you're calling someone who identifies there a him or a her, then you can actually be legally fined or even jailed. And do you think that such a construct should be put into legislation in any country?
Honestly, that's rubbish. Right? So, let's say you're vegetarian.
Yeah.
And I ask you, do you like meat?
Yeah.
Or I say, oh, would you like a sausage?
Yeah.
There's no reason I should be imprisoned for ignorance, right?
Yeah.
Like, so say you identify as a woman, for example. How am I supposed to know that you identify as a woman without having a conversation or unless it is implicitly obvious.
Yeah.
Right? It's like calling someone the wrong name. So
Yeah,
if
yeah,
I forget your name
yeah.
and I call you John instead of Orkojeet, should I be imprisoned?
Yeah.
I genuinely think that that's blasphemy.
Yeah, and okay, so what now a lot of people argue that they're saying that it's not if you do a mistake. Say if you do it repeatedly and knowingly, then it would be counted as a problem, right? And then legal action would be taken against you. So do you think that it is an infringement on the freedom of speech, or do you think that this would help trans people be more accepted in the community?
Intentional, deliberate, repeated use of he or she when you have been informed that they don't identify as those, I guess, those pronouns, then that is discrimination. But a mistake or an accident, calling you a he when I'm unaware of your situation, is a completely different story. But I truly believe that like a repeated, deliberate infringement upon that person's wish is not right.
Right. And no, but let's look at it from a perspective that a lot of people are looking at it from. People are claiming this legislation to be ridiculous. Is that if a person in a democratic free society should be allowed to call anyone anything, regardless of it being discriminatory, and if it is, they can be called out on. A lot of people against legislation say this is what the essential basis of freedom of speech is. Now, do you think that this is infringing on that freedom of speech?
Well, upon that premise, yes. But there are many other things that we are not allowed to say.
Yeah.
And so, is this any different to those?
Right. So it's like saying that if you're calling a gay person a faggot, then you could be taken illegal action against, and that doesn't happen right now. But if a lot of people, and I would say this includes me as well, are saying that if this goes into legislation, if this becomes a legal binding document, then it would just lead into further things that the left is trying to push. Right. So next you can't call a gay person a faggot. You can't use swear words because they're offensive to some people. This would need to lead to unnecessary censorship, and this is what a lot of philosophers, a lot of politicians are arguing against. How far do you agree with that statement?
Well, it is bordering on that line of overdoing it.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. And so, based upon that, calling someone a faggot, for example, is on such a different level to calling someone a he by accident.
Yeah.
And so, it's really tough because a lot of the time it's based on like a misunderstanding, or what's really important is the person's intentions.
Yeah.
So if my intention is to abuse my free speech, to discriminate you, then that's not on. And then it's appropriate that protection be put in place for the minorities which are targeted. But if my intention is to say, oh, hey, buddy, can you grab me a drink? Or, oh, this is my friend John, he goes to school.
Yeah.
I call you a he by mistake.
Yeah.
Then that's completely different. But I can understand how people might see it as being over the top and overly constrictive on their freedom of speech.
And now, just a general question. Would you date someone who identifies as a transgender, who identifies as a woman, but actually, and has gone through biological changes to become a woman, but was previously a man? Would you date that person? Would you be in a relationship with them?
Personally, no.
Why not?
Because I have misconceptions and I wouldn't quite understand why they had gone through that transformation.
Right.
And like, I completely support LGBT rights and I'm for them, but I would not be in a relationship such as that with one of them.
Yeah,
and that's not through any discrimination.
Yeah.
That's just
see, and this
it would make me uncomfortable being in a situation as a straight,
right,
heterosexual man
right,
dating someone who
Yeah.
I knew used to be a man
Yeah.
is now a woman.
Yeah.
That would just be
That
uncomfortable.
would be
and foreign.
weird, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And the thing about that, right? A lot of people feel that. And the problem that a lot of people are having with that is that these ultra left, the social justice warriors are saying that you can't feel weird. You can't feel weird about that. And when you're used to seeing a man be a man and a woman be a woman, and a man dress a certain way and a woman dress a certain way all your life, and suddenly they go through a physical change, and then you're seeing these men who are dressed like women and women who are dressed like men, and these people who are women, who were women but identify as men. They're not allowed to feel weird in that situation. And do you think that is fair for that to happen?
Well, do all of these social justice warriors, are they in a relationship with someone who identifies as transgender?
Well, most of them are lesbians, so I don't know.
I think it's not their place to suggest what a person is allowed to feel or think.
Right. Alright, this has been a fun discussion with Jack Heanly, and please like, comment and subscribe as always, as every channel says on YouTube nowadays, and we will see you guys next time.